Hey there, when your trainers tell you to do bicep curls 4 times a week or do the routines on your gym app and you don't see results, don't worry. In this video, we'll cover everything you need to know to build your own workout routine from scratch and for all levels. It's important to know that a good routine is one of the main factors responsible for our progress and how we advance in the gym. If you still feel like the gym isn't your thing, it's probably because of a bad routine or poor execution of your workouts. Therefore, a routine that gives you adherence, that is, that makes you go to the gym with enthusiasm and allows you to give all your workouts intensity, will help you achieve your goals easily and faster. After watching this video, you'll find the perfect weekly routine for you that will help you maximize muscle gain and make you look better or progress according to your goals. And yes, your routine has to be based on your goals and your experience in the gym. If you've been at the gym for 2 months, you probably won't be able to do a routine with the same volume as someone who's been doing it for years. The truth is that the perfect routine will come from experience and testing what works for you, since we all respond differently to the stimuli we give our bodies. The key is to give our muscles enough stimulation without overdoing it so as not to overtrain and be able to perform well for the next workout. But how do we do this? Training principles. First, we'll review the following general, science-based guidelines that you need to follow for a good weekly schedule. Goals. Whether you want to lose fat, gain muscle, improve your skills in a sport, or simply improve your health or condition, our body's responses and adaptations to training depend directly on the type, frequency, and duration of training. Therefore, if your goal is to improve in a certain sport that mainly uses your legs, the most logical thing would be to prioritize this muscle. But assuming that all of us in this video are gym bros, who are interested in gaining muscle mass for strength, aesthetics, or both, we will focus the video on strength training workouts. For this, it is important to identify our weak points in order to prioritize these muscle groups, unless you are a beginner, since at the beginning, all of them are your weak points. It is also very likely that if you are still a beginner, you will be seeing progress, whatever you are doing, which is known as novice gains. If you have never done any sports in your life up until now, it is very likely that you are experiencing this phenomenon and that you are progressing very quickly, even if your training or technique is not entirely correct. Later on, I will show you the best routine for beginners so that you can take even more advantage of your novice gains. Volume. Volume is the total amount of training performed, that is, the total stimulus or work performed that a muscle or muscle group receives. It can be represented as sets per repetitions, by load or weight, or simply sets per reps. The recommended range is 6 to 20 sets per week depending on the muscle group, but to make it a little more general, we'll stick with a range of 14 to 16 sets per muscle group per week. Frequency. Frequency is the number of times you train a muscle group per week. There's no need to overthink this. Just know that it's best to do frequency 2, that is, train each muscle or muscle group twice a week. Why not frequency 1 or 3? Because with frequency 1, we would have to do a lot of training volume in a single day, and with frequency 3, we run the risk of overtraining, since we won't give the muscle enough time to rest. Intensity. We can measure intensity in 2 ways. The RPE scale, which is basically our subjective perception of the effort we put into a set. This scale goes from 1 to 10, with 1 being very light activity, with almost no effort, and 10 being maximum effort. And the laugh comes from rep without reserve, which refers to how many reps we leave in the chamber before reaching failure. Fortunately, science says that it is not necessary to go to failure in everything and that leaving 2 reps in the chamber is enough to maximize muscle gains. But if you are like me and you like to go to failure in almost all your exercises, let me tell you that it is probably not the best thing to do, as it can end up being too much volume or junk volume and interfere with your recovery process. And you may spend more time than you should in the gym. Going to failure has worked for me and I have seen progress. And if at any point I hit a plateau, I will change it. Just remember to always push yourself a little bit harder in each workout, which is known as progressive overload. That way you will see progress faster and avoid plateaus. Overtraining has been shown to have an effective volume threshold for each muscle group. Going beyond this threshold can lead to the accumulation of fatigue, also known as overtraining. If you feel like you're not adapting well to your routine, you don't feel like going to the gym, or you simply feel excessively tired, it could be overtraining. To fix this, you just have to organize your routine well and pay special attention to your training volume, understanding that after a certain number of effective sets, all the rest would be counterproductive sets. Don't spend hours and hours in the gym. you can do a more effective workout in less time. And as I said, this ranges between 14 to 16 weekly sets for most muscle groups. Sustainability. Take a look at all your daily activities and be realistic about the time you can dedicate to the gym. While it's true that it takes discipline to create a habit, remember that you can gain muscle mass by going 3 days a week. The most important thing to see any change is consistency and resting and wanting to train the next time it's your turn. In this way, together with a good routine, our training will be efficient. Rest. Muscle doesn't grow when we're training, but when we're resting. I'm sure this isn't the first time you've heard this, and it's completely true. It's been proven that muscles need a minimum of 48 hours of rest, but we'll try to give them a minimum of 72 hours of rest between workouts in order to receive the full benefits of rest. The amount of rest between sets will depend on your goal and type of training. If you want to improve strength, it's advisable to rest between 3 and 5 minutes after finishing a set. And if what you're looking for is hypertrophy, a 30 to 60 second rest between sets would be more than enough. My recommendation for this point, if you don't want to be counting and want to go a little more by your intuition, simply do your set whenever it doesn't feel like a huge challenge. Just don't let too much time go by, as it would be counterproductive. Rest longer on compound exercises, such as bench press, squats, or deadlifts. And if it's an exercise for an isolated muscle, try to let it go as little as possible, like the pulley triceps extension or lateral raises. Aside from these variables, there are slightly more advanced concepts like supercompensation or the unloading period, which if you want me to explain in another video, now, taking into account each of the previous variables, you've probably heard of routines like the full body or splits like the Arnold or the push-flex lex. And the truth is that you can see results with any of these, but in summary, try to take care of the generalities that I mentioned earlier. A range of 14 to 16 sets per muscle group divided into 2 training days. On the other hand, try to give yourself enough intensity and rest properly. If you are new to all this and are just stepping into a gym, don't try to imitate your idols. The best thing for beginners is a full body routine 3 days a week where you are giving your body enough stimulation to adapt to this type of exercise. Add compound exercises, since as I said at the beginning, at first all of these are your weak points. Remember that apart from a good training routine and wanting to have good results, you have to pay special attention to your diet and sleep, topics that I will talk about in future videos.